Hello, welcome to my channel. This is just going to be a short update on the Rocky Mountain. Um, so, a few things about this bike. I can't seem to keep air in the rear tire, so I've inflated it and everything. Since I just bought this from a shop, and this is one reason why it's nice to have bikes from a shop, is I can just take it to the shop and they'll go over this stuff for me, and then I don't really have to deal with it. So if you're ever wondering what is the benefit of buying a bike from a shop, that's one of them, is I can just take it back to the shop I bought it from and they'll set me up. They'll take a look at that or whatever, because I'm plenty capable of taking this all apart and figuring it out. But why bother when I've had two rides on this bike and I'm having this issue? Another thing is there's some creaking, and I don't know if it's the dropper post or the seat or whatever. They usually put pretty low end saddles on stock bikes because they know people are gonna change it out. I mean, this, it's a double WTB. It's a decent saddle, but it's, probably the steel rail version or whatever. But it could be coming from the dropper post. I don't think any of it's coming from the suspension, because I do, when I'm standing and pedaling, it doesn't creak. It only does it when I'm seated. So to me, that's a sign that it's somewhere in here. And then the third thing is I bottom out really easy on this bike. So, and then somebody, I forget who it was, but they made a comment about putting volume spacers. And this is what's kind of funny, is I didn't realize I could do volume spacers in a rear shock like this. I can do them in the fork, and I knew that, and I have them over there in my Hey Duke, but I didn't realize I could do them on this bike. So I'm contacted the shop, and they're going to help resolve that and put some volume spacers in there, and that'll make it ramp up and be even more progressive. I talked a little bit about progression and how it changes with this, but if you put some volume spacers in there, it'll make the progression even more, ramp more, and then it'll have less tendency to bottom out. So those are a few issues. And then I already talked about another one, and it's a little bit of a concern for me right now. Whenever switching to a new bike, you just never know what might be something you don't like. Is the rear end tends to be a little more flexy, definitely more flexy than the Ripmo AF was. And so what I'm trying to see if it's a tire pressure issue, but of course my tire went flat, so I need to get that resolved so I can start testing that. Or is the rear end flexy because the bike, when I'm pumping and really pushing off to jump and stuff, seems a little squirmy. So I'm honest about the bikes I ride and all the things I'm gonna deal with. So one of the things I'll have the shop do is make sure they check all the torque points and make sure they're up to torque. And if the rear end is really snaky, even if I resolve it through tire pressure and stuff, that's gonna end up being a no-go, and I might actually just contact Rocky Mountain directly about that, because that's just a characteristic of a bike you just don't really want. So like what happens is a couple of times I went to pump, usually if I'm kind of in a lean or something already, like going straight off jumps is fine, but if I'm kind of, sometimes there's little hips or jumps where you got an angle, and I don't go to do that, and the bike seems to squirm out. My suspicion is it's the tire. That's going to be my suspicion. I think it's been leaky. It was probably lower pressure than I expected, because when a tire is low, it definitely, woo, you like my dance? This is how it goes. Yeah. It's the first time you've seen me dance on my channel. But anyway, the bike feels all wiggly, right? Like it's just all over the place. So I'm going to suspect that it's the tire and not the frame. And so I got to get the tire resolved. I suspect that it's had a slow leak, and so even though I put it up to a certain pressure, it went down in pressure, and then it was squirmy on me, and I just didn't realize that was the issue. So let's get the tire issue resolved. Then we'll go and kind of think about whether the frame is flexy or not. I'm hoping not. I mean, Rocky Mountains, you know, a North Shore bike brand. I'm pretty much assuming they do not have, you know, squirmy, wiggly, flexy rear ends on their bikes. I'd be pretty surprised if they did. All right, so that's my update on the Rocky Mountain. So I'm taking it to the shop. So I'll be riding a couple of the other bikes until they get all that stuff resolved. I will be going up to Cuyuna this weekend, and I need to train. I need to ride. Schwalmingen is only a week and a half away, and I want to be ready for that race. And I took a week or a little over a week in Boston, not riding a bike at all. So I'll probably bring my Esker Hayduke up to Cuyuna, and maybe that's the only bike I ride, or I'll do the Esker and my low side. I can bring the co-op bike, but I think I'll just stick with the low side and the Esker and just enjoy rigid bikes for a while. Sweet. Really appreciate your support from my channel. Please like and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. Liking my videos lets me know that you like the content that I'm putting out there. Peace.